Hi everybody, this is Lucas with Custom Firearm Solutions. Today we're going to do a minor restoration on this old shotgun here. We have a Wards and Hercules Model 10 in 12 gauge. We picked this one up from an estate sale. Got it for next to nothing. I figure we should be able to do a minor restoration on this thing and get her flipped and probably make a couple $100s in the process. So when I was looking at this one at the estate auction, it's actually in really good condition considering the age, except for the handguard's clearly broken here, which we can fix no problem. The hinge itself is incredibly tight yet. There's absolutely no free play whatsoever. The ejector snaps just like it should. The trigger works beautifully. Other than a light sanding and re-staying clear on the furniture here, repairing this wood, touching up the bluing just a little bit. I don't want it to look brand new. And the buttstock here's got a big old chunk missing out of it here. I got another one of those we can put on this, no problem. Should be a relatively quick and easy flip on this one, but I'm going to zoom in here and show you what we're working with. Alrighty, so like I said, overall the gun's actually in pretty good condition. Obviously cosmetics, you know, it has a pretty rough look to it, but we can clean it up just fine. So starting at the buttstock here, you can see we got a big old chunk missing out of the plate. I do have an extra used takeoff recoil pad I'm going to put on this, so there'll be no cost in that. The stock itself, you can clearly see that the clear coat's completely faded off and worn away. We're going to sand this thing down, touch up the staining, and re-clear coat it there. Same on both sides. It's pretty rough there, but nothing we can't take care of. As for the receiver itself, I like the older look of the bluing here. I think what I'm going to do is just clean this up a little bit and then touch up with some cold bluing to kind of blend everything over. It's going to still look the appropriate age, but it doesn't look brand new anymore. I don't want it to look brand new. I just want it to have that good character yet. So that'll be just fine, easy to touch up there. Inside the action, really nothing looks too dirty. Of course, we're going to take it apart and clean everything out. But everything's working as it should. And again, it's really nice and tight. There's no free play at all there. It's actually in pretty good condition. As for the fore end here, I don't know what's broken, but obviously they taped it on here. So I'll take that apart and see what's broken. I'm sure it's nothing we can't fix there. And the barrel itself, looking down the bore, is actually pretty clean. They took good care of it. The only thing that's not original is the bead. They replaced that with a big old fat aluminum bead at one time. But that's going to be fine. This is just going to be for resale, and my personal preference is a smaller bead. But other than that, again, I'll scuff up the barrel a little bit here, clean up a little bit of the surface rust on there, and then I'm going to cold blue it and oil it from there. But it should be a pretty quick and easy restoration. Quick restoration, and we'll flip it and sell it and make a quick buck on this guy. So first thing I want to do is I want to take this guy off, and I want to see what's actually broken with my fore end here. All right, and it looks like the wood itself is not broken at all, actually. And believe it or not, all that's missing, or all that's wrong with this guy, is just that screw's missing. I was assuming that the wood would be cracked down the middle or something like that, but it's all intact yet. So all I got to do is make a new screw for this guy, and that'll be good to go. So that was my biggest concern with this rifle, or with this shotgun here, and that's going to be a really easy fix. So good deal on that. All right, and once that trigger's guard off, I was assuming that rear pin would go all the way through, but it does not. So this one has a bolt right down the back side here. We're going to come in from the back of the buttstock to remove this bolt holding the stock on here. All right, and now to take this receiver off here, now that we don't have our fore end down here anymore, you need this forearm screwed on to be able to take this metal piece out, which of course I don't have the bolt. So just to do that, I'm going to take a pair of pliers here and pull this guy off. Alrighty, and the inside of this guy here, it is pretty dirty and grimy, but no problem there. I'm going to soak this thing in the hydrosonic cleaner for a little bit, and I'm going to soak it in some solvent overnight here, and well, maybe not overnight. I'll soak it for a couple hours and come on back, and we'll see how well how well the barrel release lever freed up here. So I'm going to go ahead and soak this here, and I'll be back as soon as that's all done. And while that's soaking in the hydrosonic cleaner there, I'm going to go ahead and sand down all this wood here, get all this tape residue off of there, clean this guy up, check for any cracks once I get all this grime out of the wood here. So I'm going to go ahead and sand this down off camera here, and we'll come back when it's all sanded and show you what we're working with here. All right, and then after sanding, here's what we have, or just a quick sanding, I should say. The fore end here turned out pretty good. That tape, the sticky residue of the tape really soaked into the wood. I'm going to keep working at this and try to sand out some of these little pits. Kind of hard to see on camera there, but you can see all those little pits from where that tape was. And I want to try to sand those out because I'm going to see that through the stain. The other side turned out okay, but again, a couple little pits here. I'm going to continue sanding and see if I can't sand those out of there. Stock itself turned out pretty nice, but there is a very, very small, very, very hard to see hairline crack starting right there. And then on the bottom, you can see it a little better. Hairline crack going right there. So while I'm doing this, I'm going to go ahead and do a stock repair just to make sure that crack doesn't continue to split. We're going to drill a hole right through here, put a hardwood dowel in and glue everything in place just to prevent that from continuing to split. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera, get that all glued up, and I'll come back here tomorrow when the glue's all dry, finish sanding one more time, and then we'll get to staining and refinishing. All right, we'll let that glue harden here overnight, and I'll come back tomorrow, sand these off, and do a finish sanding on this stock here. But these cracks should now be stabilized and won't spread anymore down the stock. All right, everybody, we're back on another day here. The dowels are all dried up. I did trim them down a little bit. Kind of hard to see on camera there, but they turned out really nice. And once we sand those smooth and stain them, they'll blend in real nice there. Now, before I do this rough sanding, I do want to get my recoil plate put on the back here. Now, if you remember, the old recoil plate's got a big old crack in it. This is a single shot 12 gauge, so a recoil pad would be kind of nice. I have this old recoil pad laying around, and that's going to be perfect for what we're doing here. I do have to shape it to fit just a little bit. But while I'm doing my sanding here, before I restain it, I'm going to mount this recoil plate, sand it, and fit it down to size. Then I'll be back here and I'll show you the before product here before we stain it. So off camera here, I'm going to go ahead and mount this recoil pad and get it all sanded down and shaped up. And then we'll be right back. All right, and we have the recoil plate all fitted now and all sanded up. On the stock here, there's a little bit of a deviation in the wood towards the end, but got everything sanded out nice there. And this used recoil pad cleaned up real nicely with the sanding there, and it should do just fine. Sanded down the pins flush as well there, and feels really good in the hands. You can't feel those pins sticking out whatsoever. I did give it one more quick final sanding over top. So right now we are ready to stain this here, and that one's all good to go. Same goes for this guy here. There's a little bit of marking from where that tape was. Really can't see it on camera here, but got most of that out there, and this will be good to stain as well. So I'm going to go grab the stain real quick here, and we'll get this thing stained up. All right, and for stain, just like all my other staining projects, I have a clean microfiber cloth here, and I'm just going to dip that in the stain and then apply that with the grain, and we'll see how this turns out. And I like the traditional color here. That turned out really nice. And the age of the wood definitely still came through there. You can see all the character yet in the wood. So that turned out very nice there. I like that. After the stain is all dry here, I'm going to clear coat it a little later. All right, and again, that turned out really nice. It still shows the character yet of the wear in the wood. It's a little shiny here while it's wet, hard to see on camera. But overall, turned out really, really nice. I do like the color. And I'm going to go ahead and give this one more quick wipe down. I'm going to let this thing hang to dry overnight. And then tomorrow we'll come back and we'll apply some clear coat finish over top of it. All right, and its stain is all dry, and I'm gonna go ahead and remove this recoil plate, and I'm gonna clear coat everything here and make it nice and shiny and glossy here. and I'll be right back after the clear coat's all dry. Alrighty, we're all set and done with the clear coat. It turned out really nice. Sealed this wood and it's ready to go. I do like that the character of the wood is still present there. You can still see where this has been used and it's not brand new anymore. The pins here where we restored it and fixed the cracking turned out real nice and smooth over top of them. And the forearm here turned out really nice. Still got that good character of the wood yet. You can still see under there, where it has some character. I don't want this to look brand new. I want it to look its age, so I think it turned out very well. Next, we're going to move on to the barrel here. Again, I don't want it to look brand new. I just want to clean this up and maybe blend the bluing in a little bit. I want it to look good, but still look its age. My biggest problem is I have all of this old sticky residue here from where the tape was on the fore end. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but I'm going to get this residue off of here with some Goo Gone or something like that. Then I'm going to go ahead and clean this barrel up real nice and kind of blend everything together. Get a little bit of the surface rust off of there and get it all good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera here, and I'll be right back as soon as she's all done. All right, and we are all set and done with the big deep cleaning, the big restoration, all that good stuff here. Cleaned the barrel up real nice, had to use a little bit of steel wool to get the surface rust off. Touched up the bluing with some cold bluing there. While I was at it, I cleaned up all the other little parts, things like that. Same goes for the receiver. I took some fine steel wool, got the surface rust off of there, cleaned that up real nice. And lastly, if you remember, our fore end here was missing a screw. I happen to have one extra screw laying around in my pile of old screws. So just slap that in there and that's all good to go. So from here, it's time to reassemble everything. And once it's all reassembled, I'll show you what we have. All right, and reassembly for this is pretty simple here. So we're going to start with the receiver itself. Again, I got it all cleaned up. I'm going to oil it after I get it all installed and together here. But all the surface rust is off and it's ready to go. So I'm going to start by putting this trigger guard on, and these pain in the butt screws here are difficult to get into, but with a small screwdriver I'll be able to get in underneath there and get these screwed in. All right, and then from there, I'm going to go ahead and put the stock on the back of this. All right, and next I'm going to put the recoil plate back on. All right, lastly we have the barrel. And then the fore end. And just like that, she's all assembled. And I'm going to give her a good quick wipe down with some good old hoppies, just make sure everything's all oiled and looks good there. And just like that, she's all done. It turned out really, really nice. From the back on forward here, the new recoil pad is going to be real nice for whoever gets to shoot this. The stock turned out really nice. The darker stain really looks good there. Moving back to the receiver, it's got a really, really good tone to it. The two-tone of the different steels look really nice. The bluing touched up real nice on the barrel here. And just all in all, I'm very pleased with how this thing turned out. For an old gun like this, it really, really cleaned up nicely. So all said and done, I don't know if I'm going to sell this guy for a quick flip or if I'm going to keep it for my own collection just because I did get it for cheap enough. But I picked it up for $80 and I have, roughly speaking, I don't know, maybe a couple hours into restoring this here. just my time really, and I had the extra parts it needed, so I could sell this and quick flip this for $250, $300, but for how cheap I got it, I might just hang on to it. It turned out pretty nice. So that's going to wrap it up for this video here. I appreciate you sticking out through the end here. If you'd like to see more of these, please leave a comment down below. But as always, if you ever have any gun repairs or you want a firearm restored or any questions whatsoever, look up Custom Firearm Solutions in Crandon, Wisconsin, and I'll be more than happy to help you out. Just give me a call, leave a comment, things like that. And I'm here anytime you need me. Until the next one, we'll see you.